The expectation was that Marina Mabrey would be the veteran anchor for a rising Chicago Sky dynasty, but the reality is far more expensive and controversial than fans were led to believe. When the news broke on July 17, 2024, that the Sky were trading their leading scorer to the Connecticut Sun mid-season, the basketball world was stunned. On the surface, it looked like a standard trade for a contender to get over the hump, but as the financial receipts and internal timelines began to leak, a different story emerged. This wasn't just a basketball move, it was a calculated exit from a franchise that some insiders say was failing to provide basic professional standards. We have to ask the three questions that the league doesn't want to answer. Why did Marina really demand a trade when the Sky were in the hunt for a playoff spot? How did a $200,000 contract turn into a legal standoff in Connecticut just months later? And what did the Sky front office know about the locker room tension before they pulled the trigger? Today, we are following the money and the clout to reveal how one player managed to force her way out of two different franchises in less than 2 years, and why the WNBA is now scrambling to contain the fallout. To understand the shock value of this move, we have to look at the second most surprising factor first, the sheer amount of assets the Chicago Sky flushed down the drain just to get Marina in the building. Per the official trade documents from early 2023, the Sky gave up 4 draft picks and the rights to Leonie Fibich to acquire her. That is essentially a decade of rebuilding capital for a single player. When you realize that they traded her away just 18 months later for what many analysts call pennies on the dollar, it suggests the internal situation was so toxic that the front office felt they had no choice but to take a loss. According to reports from the Chicago Sun-Times on July 18, 2024, Marina wasn't just unhappy with the wins and losses, she was reportedly disillusioned with the lack of professional facilities. Imagine being a top-tier athlete and having to share a practice court with a child's birthday party. That is not a rumor. That is the documented reality of the facilities the Sky were using, and it's a major reason why the veteran leadership in Chicago started looking for the exit. Now we get to the most shocking point of this entire saga. While fans were busy debating locker room vibes and pointing fingers at rookie superstars like Angel Reese, the real tension was happening in the accounting department and the high-level agency offices. According to a formal statement provided to ESPN by Marina's agent, Marcus Crenshaw, on February 18, 2025, the Connecticut Sun were allegedly threatening to force her to play against her will after she requested yet another trade. This is where the industry drama hits a fever pitch. Marina had signed a lucrative 3-year deal, but within months of arriving in Connecticut, the team's core evaporated. All 5 starters left, the head coach moved to Indiana, and Marina was suddenly the only high-value asset left on a sinking ship. Her agent publicly called the Suns' refusal to trade her mind-boggling and framed it as a direct attack on player empowerment. But from the league's perspective, allowing a player to force a trade for the 3rd time in 3 years sets a dangerous precedent for contract validity. The third point we have to address is the clout versus chemistry narrative that dominated social media. When Marina left Chicago, she told reporters that she had learned not to create expectations anymore because they only lead to letdowns. Per the locker room reports in late 2024, there was a fundamental mismatch between Marina's desire to be a catch-and-shoot specialist and the Sky's need for her to be a primary ball handler. While the public focused on potential beef with teammates, the receipts show that the friction was actually with the coaching staff's vision. She wanted to play for a contender where she could be a secondary piece, but her high salary demanded she be a superstar. This financial trap is what led to the midseason blowout. By forcing the trade in July, she effectively tanked her own trade value, leaving the Sky in a position where they had to accept rotation players just to clear the locker room of the mounting frustration. As we move into the deeper layers of this industry play, we see the 4th and 5th factors, the role of the new Unrivaled League, and the looming labor negotiations. Marina is currently a featured star in the Unrivaled 3-on-3 League, which gives her a secondary income stream and, more importantly, a secondary platform. This has given her the leverage to say no to WNBA franchises that don't meet her professional standards. According to industry insiders on the Money Mike's podcast in early 2026, the power dynamic in women's basketball is shifting. Players are no longer willing to sit quietly in organizations with subpar facilities or losing cultures. Marina's move was a warning shot to the entire industry. If a franchise doesn't invest in the player experience, the top talent will simply use their social media reach and agency power to force a relocation. The third point we have to address is the bad guy narrative that Marina herself has begun to lean into. Per a January 2025 interview, she admitted she was willing to take the villain role if it meant protecting her career and her mental health. This is a far cry from the team-first image that players are usually forced to maintain. Behind the scenes, the contract numbers reveal why she felt she could take this stance. She is scheduled to be paid $210,000 in 2025. In the WNBA, that is a massive number that makes her incredibly difficult to trade to a team she actually wants to play for. It's a classic gilded cage scenario. She is too expensive for most contenders to absorb, yet too talented for the struggling teams to let go of for nothing. Furthermore, we must look at the specific allegations regarding the Chicago coaching staff. According to leaked social media posts and subsequent discussions on platforms like Reddit in August 2025, there were claims that Marina had specific disagreements with assistant coaches that went beyond mere strategy. One specific rumor alleged that an assistant coach had been sidelined after a confrontation with Marina. While the Sky never officially confirmed these details, the mysterious disappearance of staff members from the bench coincided perfectly with Marina's trade request timeline. This suggests that the front office was trying to manage a full-scale mutiny while pretending everything was fine for the cameras. The impact of these moves on the Chicago Sky's future cannot be overstated. By letting Marina go, they cleared the way for the point guard era and prioritized the development of their rookies. But the price they paid was the total destruction of their draft capital for the next 5 years. Per the analysis from the IX Basketball in July 2024, the vicious cycle of trading away young stars and picks for veteran quick fixes is what has left Chicago in this precarious position. They gave up the rights to Leonie Fibich, who is now a standout for the New York Liberty, just to get Marina, only to let her walk away when things got difficult. It is a masterclass in how not to manage a professional sports roster. When you look at the Connecticut side of the drama, the receipts get even more interesting. Sun president Jennifer Rosati admitted to ESPN that the team knew the risks of trading for a player who had already forced her way out of 2 teams. This admission is crucial because it proves the industry was aware of her reputation but felt they could fix the situation with a championship run. When that run failed to materialize and the roster crumbled, the Sun tried to play hardball by denying her trade request in early 2025. This led to the explosive comments from her agent about women's empowerment. It was a high-stakes game of chicken where both sides were using the media to leverage a better position. The final piece of this puzzle is the impact on Marina's career longevity. While she successfully navigated her way to a contender initially, the fallout has been messy. The label of being a difficult asset is something that agents and GMs discuss behind closed doors. Per the Sports Illustrated analysis in October 2025, Marina proved she was worth a big deal based on her performance, but the drama tax is real. Teams are now more cautious about offering long-term guaranteed money to players who have a history of mid-contract trade demands. This is the reality of the business. You can win the battle for your freedom today, but you might lose the war for your next max contract tomorrow. As the WNBA enters a period of unprecedented growth, the Marina Mabrey saga serves as a blueprint for how star players will navigate their careers. It's no longer just about the points on the scoreboard, it's about the facilities, the agency representation, and the ability to pivot when an organization fails to deliver. Marina's journey from Dallas to Chicago to Connecticut and her subsequent stand against the Sun front office is the ultimate example of a player knowing their worth and refusing to settle for less. Whether you see her as a pioneer of player rights or a locker room disruptor, one thing is certain: the industry will never be the same. In summary, the Marina Mabrey story isn't just about a shooting guard changing jerseys. It is a case study in the modern basketball industry, where player leverage, facility standards, and agency tactics collide. We saw how a massive investment by the Chicago Sky turned into a fire sale, and how a quest for a championship in Connecticut turned into a legal stalemate. The industry insider takeaway is clear. In the new era of the WNBA, the contract on the paper is only as strong as the player's happiness. If the facilities are lacking or the roster construction fails, the stars have more tools than ever to rewrite the script. This saga has forever changed how front offices approach mid-season trades and how they vet the personalities they're bringing into their locker rooms. If you want to understand the deeper games being played behind the scenes of these massive trades, you need to know how the rest of the league is handling these power shifts. To get the full picture of how money and manipulation are reshaping the sport, you have to see our breakdown of the other industry secrets that the mainstream media won't cover. The way the league handled the transition from the old CBA to the new world of Unrivaled is just the beginning. The receipts we've uncovered regarding other top stars will change everything you think you know about your favorite team's loyalty. Make sure to check out the Court Vision Rope Industry Secrets playlist to see how the game is really played. We go deep into the agency contracts, the leaked DMs, and the financial collapses that never make the highlight reels. Don't get left behind. Understand the business before the next blockbuster trade hits the news cycle.